I've seen, I have to say, I'm forced to say something. At what point in time do we hear enough information to stand up and at least present they are guilty of conspiracy, fact after fact? The investigator is on the case. It's the people still have the power. Something was suspicious. Looked a little further. They are guilty. You've seen enough by now.
Then the thermal explosive energy.
If you understand, and I'm here to show you, have been conditioned to everything I'm telling you, to fact, to the root of have been taken advantage of. It doesn't do anything but infuriate. If you know me, held by, there are certain people in the world that do not want it in your hands. As a matter of fact, I say more, when you begin to look at the full picture, see how technology, explain that to me. I had to do it. Immediately, when I got into the hydrogen industry, I knew something was suspicious. When we first started testing hydrogen technology, gas prices had shot sky high here in East Tennessee. It was 2008. Gas prices was high everywhere. When we started testing this technology, my father-in-law brought it to me. And when we tested this, we saw the fuel economy go out the roof. Out the roof. The first test in a Toyota Camry, we got 85 miles to the gallon out of the Toyota. It shocked me, it shocked my father-in-law. I mean, we had a dance in the parking lot. We each double-checked the figures to confirm we were accurate in our test. We got in the car with the technology, drove it back, and we saw the fuel economy drop back down below what it was getting before we ever put hydrogen on it. And that led us on a crazy adventure to find out that the cars are set up to compensate when technology like this is applied from several factors, not only your manifold absolute pressure, but also your oxygen content. There's several sensors that are involved which control your air to fuel ratio. When you add fuels like hydrogen, they compensate and send more fuel. The hydrogen that we use is created through electrolysis of water, so it's hydrogen and oxygen. And hydrogen and oxygen work great together, and they allow your vehicle to become much more efficient. I don't care if it's gas, diesel, I don't care what kind of fuel it's on, the vehicle will run much more efficient with hydrogen. It combusts at a higher efficiency. It burns thorough. It burns all the way through. Gas nor diesel does that. When you add a little bit of HHO in with gas or diesel, it allows much more of your fuel to be burned instead of it going out of your exhaust pipes. This is important. Okay, I began to see how easy it was to use hydrogen as a supplemental fuel. I had some major red flags that went off in my head when I saw how easy I could do this. I'm talking this, I'm an uneducated country boy from Tennessee. And I was able to go purchase parts at my local hardware store and build a $50 gadget that was able to produce hydrogen and oxygen enough to get insane results in fuel economy. Immediately went back and got an older carbureted vehicle. We got one without the electronic fuel injection system on there, one that we could supplement this with hydrogen and test it thoroughly. Did we test it thoroughly? Shocking enough, when I build this little $50 worth of parts from Home Depot or Lowe's, when I build this cell and I put it on my car with some fuel hoses and some red and black wire, and I power this cell and it goes into the vehicle of the truck, I see over 144 miles to the gallon.
I used 2.57 gallons on the first trip without HHO, and I used 1/4 of a gallon of gasoline and cannot fit any more in the tank. Both of them exactly 36 miles.
We're able to start the vehicle on gasoline assisted with hydrogen. Okay, so what we did is we tested the vehicle, we topped it all the way off to where you could see the fuel in the tank. I mean, right here, as you're filling it in the nozzle, it's there. Okay, that's where you start your test, you run it, you fill it all the way back there. Okay, in those tests, we saw incredible numbers. Numbers we didn't expect to see. 144 miles to the gallon. Okay, this is a 1986 GMC Sierra. A GMC High Sierra with a 305 Quadrajet, okay? And all we did was put a simple cell on there. We was running it right about 30 amps when we did that, and we was testing for the best fuel economy that we could get. Right at 55 miles per hour is it. So in our initial examinations, I couldn't really understand why we got that good of an increase. But as I started all of my calculations and done the test over and over, I began to realize that the reason you get such a good fuel economy is you only use gasoline when you're accelerating up to 55 miles an hour. Once I got to that optimal fuel economy and was cruising in my truck, I was just running off the vapors of gas, and I was running off of hydrogen and oxygen. At that point, the farther I drove at 55 miles an hour, the better the fuel economy got. I tested this over and over. I documented it. I've got this video following the truck actual's journey. We've done the documentation on video, filling it up. We've done the documentation in the vehicle and documenting filling it back up again. We calculated the numbers. I was actually shocked when I was doing the video because, like I said, I expected an increase. I didn't expect that good of an increase. So, standard on that 86 truck, what were we able to do? Not just seeing what the best fuel economy we could get for a distance. The truck originally got very poor gas mileage. The best I could get out of it, even on the highway, we're talking 12 miles to the gallon. So I was going to be excited if I could get it anywhere close to 20. I mean, exuberant. Did I get it to 20?
Yes.
Yes.
I
got it to 20 and then some. I was able to get 18 miles per gallon out of the city, stop and go traffic with my cell, and I averaged 27 miles to the gallon on the highway. That is incredible.
Incredible.
It is over double the fuel economy. In that truck, I got better fuel efficiency than vehicles rolling off the market today. Those were huge red flags that I began to see. I began to notice that other technologies that were out there that were capable of being able to be used that weren't available anymore. You know as well as I do, you've seen enough by now that you've seen enough stuff that's not true, okay? It's hard to say anything about it until you begin to realize enough. And then, when you begin to see enough of what's going on in the world today, how do you be quiet? I can't. Enough is enough. I have stood here and I have held my tongue for long enough. I have not expressed the deepest concerns of everything that I have seen simply because I didn't see it all. But now I've seen enough that I have to tell you, thank you, God, for showing me that hydrogen is the most abundant element on the periodic table. It's the most abundant element in our universe. It is number one on the periodic table for a purpose. It is the most powerful element. The most powerful and the most abundant. Number one.
Number one.
Hydrogen is the building block of the universe that we live in. Hydrogen is in everything, in the air, in almost every substance binds with hydrogen because of its covalent bond and the way it can attach to everything. Hydrogen is powerful. When you use hydrogen, it acts as an antioxidant. When you use hydrogen, it actually attacks hydrocarbon and carbon molecules. This is the scientific research that I began to discover when I looked through articles of people who have studied hydrogen in the past. Literally attacks hydrocarbons and carbons. So when I began to see this, and I began to research more technologies after I saw the truck and what all I could do, number one, I saw a host of fake news concerning hydrogen, okay? And what I meant was the fuel assist. Now, I know that there is problems with assisting vehicles with a hydrogen, but because you have the whole vehicle and the whole industry is set up to prevent technologies like this from happening. So, what you have to understand, when I saw the red flags in the media articles, I saw major articles like Popular Mechanics, and I read through this article on why they are saying hydrogen on demand technologies doesn't work. And as I read through this article, I realized that they never one time mention oxygen sensors or anything that you may have to control. That was a red flag to me, because I know, of all people, Popular Mechanics are going to know that if you add in hydrogen and oxygen to the engine, you have to somehow control the air-to-fuel ratio, or it's just going to send more fuel. As soon as your oxygen sensors detect that higher oxygen content, it's going to send more fuel. That's the way the car is designed. They're Popular Mechanics. They know how it's designed. Why are they not addressing this? Why did they release an article plainly stating why HHO technology doesn't work, and it's been passed around and shown all over the world as if this is true? Why is that? Why is it that they never, ever, ever address the fact that your air-to-fuel ratio has to be controlled? You have to control the systems on your vehicle that actually control your air-to-fuel ratio when you add in the hydrogen and oxygen in order to get the increase. Why did they change from systems like the carbureted truck that I have, that I can very simply choose to run it on water at any point in time? There's a reason. There's more to it. When I began to research, I saw a lot more. I saw other people's inventions that had been suppressed. I began to study, and I saw Stanley Meyer's fuel cell. I watched how in the 70s fuel crisis, he began to develop the water power car. He took electrolysis all the way to the point of a spark plug, where the spark plug of your vehicle disassociated hydrogen and oxygen from water right over each cylinder of the vehicle.
Car that runs on water instead of gasoline. Can it be true? Well, inventor Stanley Meyer made an announcement today in Colorado Springs. He says he's come up with a device that will hook up to any engine and allow it to run on good old H2O. News 13's Kurt Goff tonight on the possible impact of the water fuel cell.
Stanley Meyer says the answer to dependence on foreign oil lies all around us, in seawater, tap water, and rainwater. Any kind of H2O, he says, can power just about every type of engine. How? With the water fuel cell. It fits in the palm of his hand, but it could revolutionize the world.
You're talking about a pollution-free, totally new source of energy, the voltage disassociation of water.
The fuel cell converts water into a gas, hydrogen oxygen, which is released in the form of thermo-explosive energy.
So the water fuel injector simply replaces the spark plug. We hook it to a hydrogen computer system which regulates and meters the flow going into the injector. It processes the water in such a way to release its thermal explosive energy.
The man who invented an engine that can run on water says he's been offered $1 billion in cash by oil-producing countries to sell his patent. So far, he hasn't sold. Environmental specialist Jan Porter talked to the inventor, who thinks that the U.S. auto industry could produce cars that run on water now if they wanted to.
Our industrial base of the world is based on the utilization.
Stan Meyer has a car that runs on water, and that's drawing crowds at this year's Extraordinary Science Conference in Colorado Springs. Myers has developed what is called the water fuel cell injector. The injector breaks down the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, and the hydrogen is what powers the car.
Basically, all we do is replace the spark plug and replace it with the water fuel cell injectors you see right here. We simply feed ordinary non-processed water, or processed water in here, and as the water goes into the injector, it hits a very high pulse voltage frequency, which instantly converts it into thermal explosive energy. And as a result, we can run this car down the road on water.
Meyer's invention was introduced in Britain earlier this month, and now the Brits have followed him here.
That we recently took a scientific delegation to witness Stan's work, to really evaluate it, and came back saying, this is one of the most important inventions of the century.
That technology is what got Stan Meyer killed. That technology is on video, it is documented, and it makes perfect sense. If you understand how hydrogen works, when you look at the spark plug on a vehicle, it's set up perfect for electrolysis. The outside shell is a ground that screws into your engine casing, which is a ground that's grounded to your battery and your frame. And then from there, the inside of your spark plug produces electrical current. Add in water in there and you have a natural environment for electrolysis. When I looked at that, I saw that the potential. I actually saw the potential of the spark plug before I ever found Stanley Meyer's technology that led all the way to there. Before that, I had saw Stanley Meyer's technology where he ran a dune buggy, and I had saw his technology where he had more or less perfected that aspect of it, creating hydrogen on demand, like we do here, and running his dune buggy completely on HHO. But I had never seen the technology taken down to the spark plug. And I had envisioned it in my truck, and I'm thinking about how I can use this technology the best, looking at my truck. And this is obviously after we've done our test for 144 miles to the gallon. And as I look in there, I begin to understand the way the spark plug works. And I begin to think about how it's perfectly set up for electrolysis now. And so I ran inside and began to search on the internet for the water spark plug. And as I did that, it took some searching, but I found Stanley Meyer had actually developed his technology all the way to that point. And so I began to look at exactly what happened to Stan. It was at that point where he had a meeting with two investors in order to start the manufacturing of these spark plugs. So it came with a voltage intensifying circuit, which increased your incoming voltage off of your battery. And it used that power to put on each of your cylinders, and from there was some pressurized air and pressurized water. And in that aspect, they were able to control how each cylinder fired with the disassociation of water through adjusting ambient air, water, and voltage. It's very simple. There's nothing complicated about it. That's the reason why he's gone. The day they signed the contract, they had the meeting. Okay, I went into detail searching family records and listening to a couple of radio talk show podcast, I think it was, of their family describing the events up to this. They're telling me that this signing was at a Cracker Barrel, and Stan and his brother is there, and after they signed the documents, Stan, they had a celebratory drink. It was Stan's drink was cranberry juice. And a few minutes later, his brother said he got up and walked out. He didn't know. He thought he went to the bathroom. I'm listening to his mother and his aunt, both of them tell his story. I'm pretty sure it was his mom and his aunt. But they're talking about how the brother said he went up and left the table after about 10 minutes looking for Stan. Went in the bathroom. He's not there. He's nowhere in the store area of Cracker Barrel. And he goes outside. He doesn't see him anywhere. He goes around the side of the building and he's vomiting on the side of the building. His brother, Stan, the creator, the inventor. Stan's last words to him was that he had been poisoned. They poisoned me. Now, magically, of course, the police report disappeared for about 10 years. What? Are you kidding me? No, I'm not. All of this is fact. You know, people today have been conditioned to hear conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory on purpose. Let me explain something to you. Do you think you watched all those TV shows growing up with the guy with the hat on that's a pot and he's trying to block the rays, trying to keep the aliens out, trying to keep people from reading his mind? Why do you think those things were played to you? We were conditioned not to believe conspiracy theories exist. Well, there comes a point, and that point has been crossed, where I've seen enough. I've seen enough, I have to say something. I can no longer sit here and know everything that I've known and not share it publicly. I have a responsibility. When I have seen exactly what I've seen, I have to say, I'm forced to say something. I didn't choose to do this, but there comes a point when you see so much, you're responsible with that information. Now, God, He grew this business, and we've been here. No doubt about it, I was put here for a specific purpose. Had no idea the depth of what He had me here for. But now, I begin to see enough information, stuff I never would normally share. And when you know me, I'm fairly a calm guy. But when you see enough, you begin to lose your temper. You begin to understand that you've been taken advantage of for a long time. You begin to see that the American dream is nothing but a hologram cast before us all. When I seen everything, when I see the technology and the power of hydrogen, I had to continue to research. That's what I encourage you to do. I am showing you information. I am showing you things that I hope and I pray encourages you to go research. If you research enough, you will see enough information that you must raise awareness. There's a point where a man needs to sound the alarm. And I'm telling you, America, we are way past that point. And I apologize for waiting this long. But I have seen enough to know that enough is enough. And I'm going to share every bit of it with you. I want you to share with me the things that you know concerning the fuel industry down below in the comments. I want you to share the things that you know, that you've seen that's not correct. I want you to share that publicly. Make awareness to what's going on. When I began to continue to follow the line, it went way past Stanley Meyer. Way past Stanley Meyer. Other technologies have been suppressed. The gas carburetor. There was a man by the name of Tom Ogle that had the vapor carburetor. What does that mean? He pressurized gasoline and vaporized it instead of spraying it in like our injectors do. Pretty simple, isn't it? Nothing really difficult about it, is it? Should have been done a long time ago. Nothing that anybody couldn't think of, okay? He sprayed this mist in the carburetor and was able to take our heavy, heavy vehicles in the 70s to 100 miles to the gallon. It's documented. I am not telling you anything that is false. When you begin to look at conspiracy theories, the whole argument is it's theory. I am telling you facts. Stanley Meyer died exactly the way I told you. Tom Ogle was found in his car dead. They said he overdosed on drugs. When you go back and research, and you don't just look at the news articles, you begin to hear his family talking about how young Tom was, and how Tom would never, ever, ever touch alcohol or drugs. How Tom was so dedicated to inventions and helping the world that he wouldn't think about anything else. He was so intent on developing a way for this carburetor to work. He was focused and passionate. He would never do drugs or alcohol. his parents said. They never had any problems, and for him to go to that point, to be overdosed in the back of a car, he wasn't at any point suicidal or depressive. Their son was a compassionate, loving, energetic person. He believed in himself, and he believed in the fact that other fuel could be used. He believed in the fact that we could use fuel more efficiently. They documented Tom driving all the way from New York to California. Several news media, several journalists followed him, publicized the event. You can read about it now. I'm not telling you anything that's not documented. I'm not telling you anything that's not documented. Tom Ogle traveled across the country and documented 100 miles to the gallon. Why do you not read about him in your history book? Why do you not read about Nikola Tesla in your history book? Somebody answer me that. The man who created 6, 7 inventions at least. One of those, including the electrical current system that we use now of AC current, created it. But he's not in our history books. You explain to me why. Explain to me why our history books have changed over time and certain things are left out. Why is Tom Ogle not there? Why is Stanley Meyer not there? You tell me. Why are other technologies not there? I begin to see not only these type of technologies, I saw other technologies that worked. I saw different forms of magnetic engines that would work. And it made sense, okay? All you have to do to have energy is have movement. That's all you have to do. Energy is all around us. We are energy. Energy does not have to be created specifically out of the ground and pumped into tanks for you to put it in your car. We should have never been on any type of carbon fuel. The more I research, the more I see that. Hydrogen technology was what was developed in the very first internal combustion engine. That's right, hydrogen and oxygen was used in it. Mr. De Rivaz made the first internal combustion engine, and it was made to run off hydrogen gas as a fuel. The first engine. There was another guy that invented a engine, the internal combustion engine, very close to this time, which was propelled by water as a jet, still in the liquid form. This guy developed the technology all the way to point to build a 6-meter-long vehicle weighing almost a ton. When was this? Early 1900s? Hello? This technology has been around. The ability to use alternate fuels has been around. The man used to work and create steam engines, which is another whole avenue. Everybody knows steam engines was the most powerful form of engine. It's what we used in our locomotives. Water. And you know what you get when hydrogen's burned? Water. That's your byproduct. Water. Everything I'm telling you is documented. That man ended up developing that engine all the way to a large, heavy vehicle. Out of water. Water. Internal combustion engine. Not only an internal combustion engine, the first internal combustion engine. Water. There's actually an argument over who created the first internal combustion engine. The other guy's engine was made from water jets propulsing the engine. Technology's all around us. Hey, I begin to start understanding things. I begin to understand that we had technology. We had technology all the way back. How long in order to capture current? How long have we had the ability to use the water wheel and flow in the creek and capture our current? How long have we had the ability to use alternators on vehicles to capture electricity and put it into a battery? How long? Well, let me ask you this. Why is that not implied? Why is that not applied around every ocean? You could even build environmentally safe reefs that are going to help the atmosphere and help the planet. And in those, you could have turbines which are moved from the currents that move all the time. There's technology similar to this that's been developed.
My name is Reza Alam. I'm an assistant professor of mechanical engineering, and one of the projects that we are interested in is how to transform ocean wave power into usable energy that we can use in our cities and daily lives. It's been known that muddy sea floors can take out a huge amount of energy from ocean waves above them. Mud basically moves up and down under the action of the waves, and small-scale motions called turbulence occurs within the mud layer, and that converts the wave energy into heat. Our idea was to design a carpet that sits on a seafloor and acts like the mud layer and extract energy from ocean waves and convert it into useful energy.
This is our latest design. We replaced the 2 pumps by 1 double-acting cylinder. The advantage of the double-acting cylinder is less friction and more power output. So how the system works is that the waves run over the carpet, and then while running over the carpet will adopt the wave motion. So in both motions, up and down, we generate hydraulic pressure that's fed into 1 discharge pipe, and this discharge pipe then brings hydraulic pressure onshore, and onshore we can convert this hydraulic pressure into electricity or fresh water. Tell me when it's finished. There are 2 values we're interested in experiment. The first one is how much energy of the wave is actually absorbed by the carpet. And then the second value we measured is how much flow for a certain amount of time came out of the system. 10 seconds, stop.
Wave energy is a very dense form of energy, and what it means is that we can get a huge amount of energy from a very small area. To give you a comparison, the amount of energy that we can get from 10 meters of California coast is larger than the amount of energy that we can get from an entire soccer field if we cover it with solar panels. We've calculated that every square meter of the carpet, if designed carefully, can provide power to 2 households. Our wave tank experiment has been very successful, and now we are preparing for the actual ocean test that has been scheduled for 2016. And we're hoping within the next 10 years, the wave carpet is in the ocean and generating commercial power, and that's going to be a very exciting moment for us.
My point in saying this is energy is all around us. It only has to be captured in something that moves. Combustion, movement, magnets. There's so many different ways to make engines work. I'm telling you, when I look at everything and I see the power of hydrogen, hydrogen is the key power. It's the element that we are going to use in all of our fuel in the future. Just the simple fact that you can disassociate hydrogen and oxygen out of water and have your power right there, and it's powerful enough to do what you need to do in that cylinder, that alone tells me that you don't even have to have hydrogen storage in order to do this. Stanley Meyer proved it. I've seen it, I've studied it, I've tested it. It works.
The top our news here at 6 o'clock, an age-old dream becoming a reality. A local inventor has discovered a way, hear this, to use water to run your car.
It's a major breakthrough that will no doubt make motorists happy. And as Ralph Robinson explains, the Pentagon is also showing lots of interest in this project.
Water has always been considered a precious commodity, but Stan Meyer's invention may make it even more valuable. He has developed what's called a water fuel cell. It has taken the place of his old gas tank. The water fuel cell breaks down water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. The hydrogen is used to run his dune buggy.
I don't care if you use rainwater, well water, city water, ocean water. If you don't have any fresh water, go ahead and use snow. If you don't have any snow available to you, then use salt water because there's no adverse effect to the fuel cell.
Meyer started working on this project 4 years ago. He's not a scientist. He isn't even a chemist. In fact, he never graduated from college. Myers was determined, he says, to design something to protect this country from oil embargoes.
And we have calculated that if we take the dune buggy from Los Angeles to New York, we would roughly use 22 gallons of water.
The Pentagon flew a lieutenant colonel in last week to look at Meyer's invention. There's talk of possibly using it in the Star Wars defense program and to run army tanks. Myers is currently perfecting a water fuel cell for cars. It will cost about $1,500. He says it won't need any maintenance, and you won't have to replace it. It'll be at least 2 years before the fuel system goes into mass production. The day it happens will be one the fuel industry hates, but it'll put a smile on the face of those who've had to say at one time or another, fill her up. I'm Ralph Robbins.
As you can see, many patents have already been received, and many more are forthcoming. To date, over 42 patents have been applied for.
Hydrogen is not in your hands today because there are certain people in the world that do not want it in your hands. When I first figured all that out, I had to figure out who those people were. What does that mean? Why can I not trust that when a vehicle comes out on the market and is marketed to me, that it has the latest technology that is available? Why do I not have these technologies to offer me free energy? And when I begin to look at everything and I see the capability of producing continual energy in our ocean's current night and day, we can store that and power the whole world easily. There's way more ocean than there is world and land and civilization. You could power it all through the ocean's currents. And we're so simple to believe that we have everything available to us. We're so simple. The fact that you have a cell phone that you can record on and you can talk to somebody in China instantly should tell you we have a lot more capabilities than what we have available to us. You're telling me that I can have this technology to have the most informational piece of equipment ever designed. This has the internet in my phone, and I can stick it in my pocket and take it anywhere, talk to people instantly across the globe, yet we can't get better efficiency out of our vehicles. We're still using carbon oil. The only reason we're using carbon-based products for our oil and for our consumption of vehicles is because it is intended to be. Never should any of our engines ever ran off of carbon-based products. They pollute the environment. It is a disgrace to God's earth. It is a disgrace to humanity to attach the black crud that comes out of the earth, oil, into something so pure and powerful as hydrogen and make gasoline. Oh, you didn't know that? You didn't understand that when you look at the chemical composition of oil, they refine it down to where they have a pure enough substance, because it's made of hydrogen, pure enough hydrogen that they can burn it and use it as a fuel. I'm telling you the truth. Look at it. Look at the gas molecule. Look at the diesel molecule. You tell me what is in those molecules that are combustible. Hydrogen. The only thing that you're going to find in those molecules is hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. That's it. Nothing more. So why are we using hydrogen to move our vehicles that is entangled or produced from oil? It's a disgrace. It's an utter disgrace. And when you begin to see this, you got to say, well, how is this possible? Well, that's what I said. How is this possible? How could we not have the technology to run our vehicles and have free energy available, but not have it all across the globe? How is that possible? Well, you're going to want to know, because I'm a little investigator and I followed the trail. And I had to see why technology like this was suppressed. I had to see why we don't have the ability to have free energy now. I'm telling you the truth. free energy is all around us. We've had the ability to capture energy all the time. All you have to do is capture movement. Just the fact that we don't have free energy, that we don't have free energy all across the globe should be shocking when you understand the physics and how energy is all around us. It's in everything. It's in everything. What do? I began to look even more. Guess what I found? Yeah, a race with the Shell executives. A race where employees from Shell decided they're going to see how much fuel economy, who could get the best fuel economy. Yeah.
I bought it because I think it's a milestone, and I think it represents kind of where the world has been and where the world is going. Hi, I'm Evan McMullen. I'm the manager of Cosmopolitan Motors in Seattle, Washington. We specialize in automobiles of historical importance. On the test track in 1973, it came in at 376 miles per gallon.
Yeah. Two groups of them designed vehicles to see which one they could get to go the best. The fuel economy that won that race was over 300 miles to the gallon in a heavy car. You don't believe me? I'm going to put the video below. The collector has the video still. As I begin to research everything, I begin to understand that events like the Hindenburg didn't happen on accident. I began to see different events unfold that didn't happen on accident. When you begin to look at that, the Hindenburg was set up to be the new source of travel over international waters. Traveled over 1,000 passengers. This was an attempt to economically destroy the value of hydrogen and also degrade the Hindenburg and what it was capable of. Now, why they would ever compress hydrogen and decide to drive a balloon with it anyway, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Any scientist that is going to mess with the gas at all is going to realize this is a highly combustible gas. So after everything, obviously, you know, the biggest hindrance on all of the hydrogen technology is the Hindenburg. Everybody is scared of hydrogen. Everybody. Why? I mean, even I was. I had a big, because of the Hindenburg, man, it did its job. But I'm going to tell you, the Hindenburg was set up to occur. And I've seen footage where it's a joke what you see in the Hindenburg. Just the fact that they're going to say hydrogen explodes in that flammable manner is stupid. If you have any clue and have ever worked with hydrogen at all, if that little balloon was full of hydrogen or had balloons of hydrogen in it, like it says, and it was concentrated like that in order to fly the balloon, when that balloon went up, when that balloon exploded, there should have not been flames like that. Not the billowing, oozing flames. You would have saw fire, but it would have been a boom! Done.
Reaction. We need to ignite the balloon. The hydrogen will combine with...
I have tested flashback after flashback after flashback to see the safety of this before I ever released anything into the public. I tested how it combusts, at what ratios, when does it become dangerous. What did I find? It's a lot safer than gasoline is what I found. Because as soon as it mixes with the air, it disassociates and it's no longer combustible. And it mixes and becomes no longer volatile very easily. Liquid gasoline ignites by the vapor, and it's a liquid. So when it goes on the ground, it's just oozing everywhere, still combustible for a long time.
Today we actually blowing up the whole 20-liter gasoline canister. So welcome to Gasoline Day. Hey! 3, 2, 1.
Hydrogen's not that way. It's much safer. There's more energy in it, so you can actually create it on board your vehicle and use that amount of energy to drive your vehicle. When you look at the Hindenburg and you see how it exploded, there's no way it engulfs in flames like that. Whoosh. No way. As soon as the fire would have hit the hydrogen tanks, compressed or not, boom! Why do you think they made a hydrogen bomb? Because it's powerful, okay? This technology is very safe. So you don't have to be scared of the hydrogen technology. In fact, a lot of people are even using hydrogen and oxygen therapy. We've known oxygen for years. It's in our hospitals.
Japanese scientists are reporting success in an experiment aimed at increasing survival rates following cardiac arrest. They say inhaling hydrogen gas may not only help the patients live longer, but could reduce brain damage as well. The researchers at Keio University in Tokyo had laboratory rats inhale the gas immediately after they were resuscitated. They say about 70% of the animals were alive a week after the experiment. They say the survival rate for those that did not inhale the gas was under 40%. The researchers say the rats that inhaled hydrogen also had less damage to nerve cells in the brain. Emergency medical workers usually try to lower the body temperature of patients without a heartbeat to prevent brain damage. The Keio scientists say it's much easier to use hydrogen gas when to conduct clinical tests on humans to confirm these effects.
We expect that the brain damage will be decreased from inhaling hydrogen gas.
Associate Professor Motoaki Sano says it is important to protect the brain so that its function can return to normal after the patient's heart starts beating again.
Using hydrogen and oxygen therapy for health benefits because it is an antioxidant in the body. So we have to start asking ourselves as the public, why are these technologies not available to us? At what point in time do we as a general public get enough awareness that I understand I'm going to start looking into maybe what Richie said? If you know me, and if you have followed me at all, you're going to know that I'm a very mild-mannered person. It takes a lot to get me to this point. As a matter of fact, I have to know that I know that I know that I'm being bullied or somebody's being bullied. I have to stand up for some outrageous event to even speak this way. I'm one of the quietest, mildest mannered people you'll ever meet. And for me to see all of this, it doesn't do anything but infuriate me. When I begin to see how deliberately we have been taken advantage of, there comes a point when I must share my heart with the world. There comes a point when I must share everything. And like I said, there is in no way, any way that I am going to share any kind of conspiracy theories. When you show conspiracy fact after fact after fact, it's no longer a theory. It's just a conspiracy. It's no longer a theory. It's just a conspiracy. Question? There is no doubt. They are guilty of everything I'm explaining. Why is our society the way it is right now? Why is everything going on? It's a conspiracy. Well, I'm telling you, enough is enough. I've seen enough, that I gotta say more than I am now. And I want you, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and click on that button because you're not gonna wanna miss this. I'm gonna show you in depth more of what I've learned along the way. I have had people from large organizations across the country come into my building since we've been in business since 2008. I'm talking men that are smart men from companies, John Deere. I'm talking companies, large companies, the Ford Motor Company. There's a gentleman come in here telling me about what he experienced and saw in their testing facilities where they tested specific products just like this. He said they tested fuel cells, all sorts of fuel cells, every day. That was his job. For 30 years, that was his job, the testing of alternative fuels. And he said, I didn't care what kind of fuel cell they gave us. In some way or some form, we made it work. He said it wasn't the fact that we made some of them work. We made them all work. Pretty shocking. When you have somebody walk in your business and you're an alternative energy and you've saw enough to stand up and at least present the product that you feel needs to lead the way in helping the environment and reducing the pollution of our cars and reducing the consumption of our fuel. When you see that product, you got to stand up and say something. And to have people start coming in here from major organizations like that and explain to me what they have seen and what they've learned, it's shocking. Just like I explained to you, it is shocking. And when I look and I see the guy that comes from Ford, he explained the same thing. There's more to this story than meets the eye. Hydrogen is not the only technology that we have been missing. At what point in time do we hear enough information that we have to start looking around? Explain that to me. I have known for a long time that hydrogen was the solution to our fuel crisis. It is the antioxidant of the atmosphere, and when it's burned, water is produced. You tell me what else is going to clean up this environment better than that? That and oxygen. Hey, baby. Clean up our world. Yes, we got to clean up our world. We got to start now. But we also have to start by spreading the information that we understand. Because when you get to the root of the information, you'll see the perpetrators. And there is no question, there is no doubt. They are guilty of everything I'm explaining. The investigator is on the case. I didn't ask to be here. I just couldn't help it. I couldn't help, after what I've seen in this industry, to not look a little further. I couldn't help, after I looked a little further, to go a little further. And I'm going to explain to you, piece by piece, as we go through this. We're going to talk to you about shocking things that I discovered, that you're going to want to know about. Enough is enough. We as the people demand those technologies. We as the people still have the power. I want you to follow along. And if you haven't subscribed yet, smash that subscribe button. Tell me exactly some of the things that you know about the alternative fuel industry. Explain some experiments that you've done with hydrogen. I want to know. We're going to release more videos. I'm going to tell you in depth more about what I learned as I begin to investigate not only energy, but other areas. It's shocking. Is when you begin to look at the full picture of everything that's going on and you see how technology is not in our hands that should be here today. And we are not using the most powerful substance on the planet as a fuel. And it's the most abundant. Why? When you begin to see all of this, I had to dig deeper. And I'm here to show you what I found.